Okay, this is kind of like, I don't want to say an emergency Pureheart speak.
But it was a great question.
Yes, in light of certain events that have happened since last night, we've had the question come up on Martin's Facebook page, and I will be posting the question as well on Pureheart Space. But Martin wanted to do a live channeling straight from Pureheart on this. So the question that was asked was, how does a person working toward a greater spiritual understanding come to terms with the killing of Osama Bin Laden? You know, because I know when this happened and hearing about all the celebration, um, that didn't feel right to me. And then as I was reading on different Facebook pages, I was glad to see that there were others that have kind of been on a spiritual path parallel to ours, kind of feeling the same way. You know, I have to say I'm kind of feeling neutral about it. I'm not saying I'm cheering. I'm kind of glad that at least they know where he is, apparently. And so, yeah, there's a lot of mixed emotions for me, but I don't think celebration is the first thing that came to my mind, because I know that, okay, if they have him, that doesn't make everything go away. All the issues and the problems with terrorism, they don't just disappear with Osama's being killed. So I'm kind of curious as well as what Pureheart has to say about when something like this happens. What should be people that are looking for the spiritual answers, what would be a more appropriate way to feel about this?
Well, for a start, we shouldn't be celebrating taking anybody's life. That's not a celebration. And it's not spiritual. It's a judgment, and a judgment based on an eye for an eye, where you're taking his life based on the lives that he took. What he did was wrong, and celebrating taking his life is also wrong. It's not about whether the act of taking his life was wrong. That's entirely up to you as an individual, whether you can, in good conscience, live with yourself at taking someone else's life. And the same thing applies, the same theory applies to Osama Bin Laden. In all good conscience, he needs to live with himself, or needed to live with himself, based on the lives that he's taken.
Well, didn't he seem to be celebrating that? I mean, he seemed to be quite happy about pulling off, because he was the one that had planned that and had kind of got that ball rolling.
Yeah, but like we said, celebrating it is wrong, no matter who celebrates it.
Now, here's my question, is that, I mean, it's easy for us to say because we didn't lose someone very close to us in the Twin Towers. I know it all hit us pretty hard, just the atrocities of it all.
Right.
But I know if somebody had brutally killed one of my family members, I'd probably want blood.
Yes, you would, but your spirit wouldn't. Your spiritual side, your higher self, would not. Your ego, your human side, of course. But it brings us back down to one of my favorite quotes that people just say out of the holy books is, "Judge not, lest thee be judged." It's not a matter of not judging. It's a matter of being comfortable with the fact that you're going to judge. One way or another, if someone takes a life, then humans will feel it their responsibility to have that person's life taken also, the penalty fitting the crime. As a person, I like to remain neutral.
You're also Libra.
As a spirit, it's wrong to take anybody's life for any reason.
Now, what if you're, when you have somebody coming in and is attacking you, now if you're trying to find this person to bring them to justice and they put up a fight, they don't go willingly.
Well, purposely taking someone else's life. It's still wrong. And the essence of it, taking somebody's life spiritually is not the right thing to do. Whether it's in self-defense or whether it's in just for the sake of it. But again, on human standards, each of those self-defense will weigh less than murder. And preemptive, eye for an eye, is somewhere in between that. But you can't get around the fact that it's still wrong. Spiritually, from a spiritual perspective. And when you're doing something like this, if we're on this planet to strive toward peace, killing is the wrong direction. You can't go in a peace direction by taking lives as you go. You can do it for freedom, but you can't do it for peace. And I think the energy around it is that people will feel differently if it is someone that they know, someone that's close to them. If something happened like that, then they will, it's natural for the human side of us to want retribution, the pound of flesh, whatever you want to call it, for that action. Because the laws of physics that govern this planet have said also that, and this is where the church and science, one of the many bridges they have to cross, is that every action, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Now, does taking a life for a life, that's an equal reaction. But is it an opposite reaction? Seems to me it's the same reaction.
See, for me, when I heard about this, and somebody brought it up on one of the talk shows, and I tend to agree. I've not been nervous about flying ever since this has happened. I probably would be a little bit more nervous now about the retaliation. I don't know. It's almost like stepping on an anthill and then everything is let loose.
Well, it's one of those things that, where does it end? Who is going to be the bigger person? Who is going to be the person that says, enough is enough? And not really knowing the whole story and understanding military operations a little, where you don't have a lot of leeway when you go looking for somebody. Sometimes you can't bring them out kicking and screaming in a big bag. Otherwise, you are jeopardizing the group.
So what is the bottom line that Pureheart has to say on this?
Killing is wrong. Period. And justifying it is allowed on this planet because we've become here as humans. We have to behave as humans. But justifying it the right way and looking at it logically, that if someone is beating on your person, if someone is trying to abuse you in any way, and you lash out and kill them, that is more acceptable as a judgment for you on them that your life might be in danger. Now, here's the deal with Osama Bin Laden. He did not fly the plane. He did not spearhead any mission where people were killed.
No, they're saying that he did.
No, he just made the rules. Other people did it for him. He has command of people. He's very charismatic.
Sir, wow.
And the energy of that is, if you remember the story from your own past, American past, with Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp, whenever you take out a leader like that, someone will replace him because of the way, excuse me,
Yes.
thank you, because of the way that it's being done. It's almost like if you have a cancer and you take out one cell. It's not going to stop the spread of the cancer. It's not even going to slow it down. Because an organization such as this, there are, for every person in charge, there are dozens of people waiting to take that spot. So it really isn't helping matters by glorifying it. It's really not helping matters by celebrating it. Because it takes you away from, it really didn't make any difference to the overall situation. So don't celebrate it. It's the taking of a life. Honor all life.
Even that makes me twinge a little.
Yes, it does, and it's going to make a lot of people twinge, but it's the spiritual truth. It might not be the ego's truth, but it is the spiritual truth.
So the celebration comes from ego.
Yes, the celebration comes from the human side, comes from the ego. And
I would have felt better if they had captured him and maybe have gotten more of the people that were in charge, because the way to really settle this is definitely a disbandment and bringing him up on charges. You know, but
well,
maybe that wasn't possible. Well, we don't know. We weren't there, and that's...
Well, you see, the bottom line is, whenever you're in a particular organization, the fanatics believe that what they're doing is right. And it's funny that these organizations are terrorists usually outside their own country. Inside their own country, they're branded freedom fighters, whatever, what have you. But it's about a perspective. And you can't say that a lot of the practices of governments overseas doesn't annoy some people some of the time. And they respond to it by either coming in and taking something that belongs to you, or they badmouth you to the rest of the world. But no government today is free of practices that would be looked at by other countries as against the Geneva Convention or against the good of the whole.
Well, we've proven that with the last administration going against.
And what Pureheart finishes up saying is that people in glass houses should not throw stones. Examine your own house and look at the spiritual aspect of this. It's an interesting time that we live in. And Osama Bin Laden being brought to justice, human justice in this way, was just a matter of time. And I think when we look back on it, you'll notice that the timing politically was perfect.
Well, I'm going to put this question on the pureheartspace.com in the forums, and then there will be the channel, and you'll type it all out there, correct?
Yes, and you can comment. And I think we'll allow more heavy comments this time.
Well, this is a very passionate topic, and I really see both sides.
Yes.
I really do. So that's why I was curious as well as to what Pureheart had to say about this. And I've seen like Marianne Williamson and also Stephen Farmer commented as well, because it's not something I don't think, I know we didn't want to just go out and celebrate and go yeehaw. I mean, it was almost like a little bit of relief.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that at least,
well,
you know,
he created fear, and feeling the alleviation of that fear because of our media and the media overseas.
No, we'll never get the full story.
No, but they created fear around this person, Osama Bin Laden.
Yeah.
And you've got to be careful that you don't buy into the hype around it And take a look at it. Take a look at it from your heart's perspective.
Yes,
I mean, the relief. It is a relief from the fear, and that is okay to feel. There's nothing wrong with that. But as far as celebrating it, no, because you cannot celebrate the death of a human being and then bitch about the burning of your flag. They're both the same thing, exactly the same thing. People being passionate about an event that just happened. People will burn flags, people will dance in the street. It's all the same thing. And if you're celebrating the death of a human being, it is equivalent to that, burning a flag, that kind of thing. It really doesn't mean anything. It just helps the ego come to terms with what happened. And it feeds the ego.
Right, so I think it would be great, we can continue this discussion and get different points of view. And just because I think this is a time where this brings up a whole lot of issues again from 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's definitely, as you say, interesting times. So pureheartspace.com, I will post a question in there for Pureheart to answer, and that'll be straight Pureheart, because I know this is all, because I know there was your opinion in there mixed in with some Pureheart stuff. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I have to filter what he says sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think...
Because you're not ready for it.
Yeah, not everybody's ready for the information. I do agree. All right, so we will see you next time.
Peace.